If you're drafting at the 105, 106, 107, or 108, this video is for you because we're going to tell you what the best strategy is when you're picking at those positions, and we're going to tell you how to win your fantasy football drafts and beat your league mates. This, in conjunction with our draft guide, which is now available to you in the pinned comment in the comments section, will help you to win your fantasy football leagues. We're going to give you our draft guide for free, no cost, for everybody. The only thing that we ask of you if you use the draft guide is to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We spend a lot of time and money on this draft guide, and we appreciate it if you'd repay us by giving us your subscription, making sure you're with us for this entire season as we try to bring you the best fantasy football analysis on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. We appreciate it. Make sure you drop in the comments and say hello when you subscribe as well. Smile, Nathan. Smile for Nathan. There you go. Subscribe because of that. All right. Let's go into this strategy for the 105 through 108. The first round, let's talk about the first round and who you should be taking, because a lot of people are like, okay, there's a pretty big range of guys here, which there are. In ESPN drafts, you see guys like Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson going this high, probably 104, 105 in a lot of these, right? I think on Yahoo and ESPN, you even see them push up that high. In sleeper drafts, you see Amon-Ra St. Brown, my personal favorite. Jamar Chase going here, right? And so it's like, okay, I can take running back, I can take wide receiver. How do I know who to take? Here's the first rule for taking your first round selection at the 105 through 108. If any of the top three guys fall, that is the tier 1 guys, that is CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Christian McCaffrey. If any of those guys fall to you at picks 105 through 108, automatic smash. Do not even think about it. Draft those guys, okay? Okay, so what's the next tier of guys here? Well, when we're looking at the tier list that we had printed out for you guys, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, and most people wouldn't do this, Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is also in this tier. Now, most of the time, I'm taking those top 4 guys over Justin Jefferson, but I'm always taking Justin Jefferson over those tier 3 guys. And so, again, whichever one of the best of these guys falls to you, Chase, Amon-Ra, Breece, and Bijan. Okay, that gets you through what? 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, and then 108. So then if you're picking at the 108 and Jefferson's the only guy left, you take Jefferson. However, we have the top 8 guys covered now. So the tier 1 and tier 2 guys, whichever one of these tier 1 and tier 2 guys fall to you, you're taking those guys, okay? And it might work out to where multiple of these guys fall to you. If somebody reaches on Garrett Wilson and somebody reaches on Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you're like, okay, I can take Jefferson or I can take Breece. Pick your favorite, right? These are all tier 2 guys. Again, we're just picking best available in round 1 based on the video that we released right here. I told you how to make sure you're picking the right guys in these first 2 rounds, okay? So now after round 1, let's get into round 2, and I'll let you kind of tell them what they should be doing when they're approaching round 2 in these fantasy drafts.
I think this is a great range to take some of those second round running back targets. You are going to have a pretty good chance at getting one of those fallers like JT or Saquon at the 108 specifically. They're generally not going to fall further than that, but Kyren Williams is always going to be in this range, right? And Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, if you want to take him that high, Isaiah Pacheco, if you want to take him that high, if you've just got a crazy run of running backs, you want to be going with one of those running backs in the second round in the middle range. I think this is a great time to build hero wide receiver and lock down a top 6 upside running back. If you end up going with a wide receiver, Puka Nacua can fall. Puka Nacua can fall to this range. We have seen it before. Don't say it's impossible. Don't say it's insane. Don't say it doesn't happen. There are literally millions of fantasy football leagues out there, and I guarantee you there are not just a few, there are a ton of leagues where Puka Nacua is falling in the middle of the second round because people just straight up don't like him. Drake London as well. I mean, in your leagues that know what they're doing, that aren't home leagues, you are going to see Drake London consistently go in the second round, and this will be the range that he goes. I'm totally comfortable taking him there. Marvin Harrison Jr. can fall to this range. Devontae Adams as well, who even though he's old, even though he's not in a great situation, I'm confident that Gardner Minshew will be able to get him volume. So those are some good receivers to target there from the 105 to the 108 in the second round.
So if you're faced with a running back or wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, you might be asking yourself, okay, which of those positions do I take? I've got Breece and I've got Amon-Ra here. Who do I take? I've got Bijan Robinson and I've got Justin Jefferson here. Who do I take? Our preferred strategy this year, and our number 1 strategy that we've outlined in multiple videos, including the one here, is we're taking wide receiver in the first round where we can, because you have a good shot of getting a running back in the second round that's going to be elite. I'm going to show you on a mock draft. We're both going to do a mock draft in this video, and we're going to show you what we mean by that and how that will probably play out, and we'll talk you through each pick. But again, I do think that our preferred way of doing this, take wide receiver first, and then take one of those guys Nathan was talking about, Kyron. You can take Derrick Henry. You can take Travis Etienne. You can take Saquon Gibbs, JT, if those guys fall. Most of the times you'll see those guys pushed up. In home leagues, because of the way running backs take them, but you're going to get at least one guy there that we're comfortable with. And so let's go ahead and jump in and do a mock draft. So we've talked about the first 2 rounds, and as we do this mock draft, we'll give you a breakdown on every range past this and how you should be drafting in these particular positions of the draft. So this is a sleeper mock draft. Nathan and I are drafting against air. Nathan's at spot 5. I'm at spot 7. Okay.
Yeah, so at the 5th pick, I am going to go with Jamar Chase, just to shake it up a bit here. Again, you're in that tier of second option, or you're in that tier of second guys that you've got to take one of those 5 guys. You got to take Bijan, you got to take Chase, J. Jeff, Brees, or Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's kind of what we like to do there. Jamar Chase, anywhere from the 105 to the 107, I think is a great pick. I think he's a great value there. He's probably not going to be there for long. I think next year you're going to see him in that top 3 to 4 range again pretty consistently.
Okay, so I've got Brees, I've got Jefferson, and I've got Amon-Ra here. Amon-Ra is the faller in my opinion here. I prefer to take wide receiver in the first round because I'm confident I can get him running back in the second. So we both go wide receiver here. Let's see what happens. Go around the turn. Running backs are getting pushed up, right? You got 4 running backs. Henry just goes. Marv, Puka, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Travis Etienne, good. I get Kyron Williams on the way back.
That's perfect.
Dream start. I love that.
Yep.
Kyron Williams, over 20 points per game last year. I can pair him because he's such a high upside guy, and he's a little bit more boom or bust and a little bit riskier because of the injury concerns. I can pair him with a safe, high target option, and I'm on Ross St. Brown. I can feel really good about it. This is the exact same start I had in the Flock League, where obviously I won that draft, so I'm going to go ahead and take Kyron Williams here as well.
Yeah, and you see Josh Jacobs going in the middle of the set. I think Josh Jacobs might have the most variance in your fantasy football leagues, where he can go as high as the middle to the tail end of the second and as late as the 3-4 turn. It is entirely dependent on what league you're in. But again, when you're getting a follower like Drake London, who is consistently going in the middle of the second round, you got to take him there.
Yeah.
And I'll pair him with Jamar Chase comfortably.
Isaiah Pacheco there would have probably been a reach. Devon Achane is a fine pick there, but look at team 2. What the clown are we doing here? My gosh. Every time. I can't just have a normal freaking sleeper mock draft.
Yeah, and Brandon Ayuk, with all the questions going on in San Francisco, has been a faller, where he's falling to the middle of the 3rd round pretty consistently now, and that's a price where I just cannot pass up. If you're taking a middle of the second, I'm like, whatever, I don't love it as much. At the middle of the 3rd round, yes, please.
All right,
yes,
so
please.
When we're looking at our top guys here, Nico Collins and Jalen Waddle are both on that list. I'm going to go ahead and take Nico here. I definitely want a receiver here, but I'm going to take a high upside guy, wide receiver 1 in his offense, on one of the best passing offenses in the league, and take Nico Collins. And again, this is just because he was the best player according to our rankings that fell to us.
Yeah, and we've talked about that with the Fantasyland guys, where there's a huge tier of legit almost 12 players from Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs, all the way back to Nico Collins and Cooper Kupp, where it's like, you kind of just want to be at the tail end of that tier so that you're not forced taking one of the gross guys in the second round.
So let's talk about your 4th round selection here when you're drafting here at like the 107. I'm pretty confident I'm going to get a good tight end. Somewhere in the 5-6 range. So I'm not going to take tight end here. I could take Trey McBride, not going to do it. There's a number of good receivers here. Devonta Smith and Malik Neighbors are the top 2 easily for me.
Yeah.
And then at running back, James Cook is still here. And James Cook, I mean, really, really good option here. 3rd in the NFL last year in scrimmage yards behind Christian McCaffrey and whoever, I forget who the second one was, but obviously a great pick there. It was a really good stat by me that I just gave. I'm going to go ahead and go wide receiver again. I'm definitely going to roll with essentially kind of a modified hero running back because, again, I'm getting him in the second, so we wouldn't technically qualify that. I'm going to take Malik Neighbors here. I think he's a good value.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. Yeah, and I kind of got double sniped there. I was looking at Neighbors and James Cook. I kind of am stuck potentially having to reach on a running back because I took receivers in the first 3 rounds of the draft. And again, that's kind of a 0 running back build. But here I'm comfortable enough at the tail end of the 4th round taking Joe Mixon at ADP, where he's in a good offense. If you're into that sort of situation, into Joe Mixon going into a CJ Stroud offense with a ton of loaded talent at the wide receiver position, I think it's fine. I think he has a pretty safe floor. And I'm going to go ahead and just smash another wide receiver and safety with Devonta Smith in the 5th.
So we've officially entered the running back dead zone. I've got my hero running back build here. I'm probably not going to want to take a running back here. I am looking at tight end. Some of these guys are not bad. I'm going to go ahead and take Dalton Kincaid here and get my tight end locked up.
Love it.
I got 3 wide receivers, a running back, and a tight end. I'm going to see if any of these running backs fall. Again, the running backs have gotten pushed up every time we've done one of these, so we'll see. Yeah. Actually, Swifty goes there. Okay. Let me look at the running backs here. Ramondre's not a bad pick here, honestly. Mostert, Pollard. I feel like I'm going to get a good enough running back on the way back if I want to. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the 0 running back build. Joe Burrow's off the board, but I'm getting Kyler Murray here if I want him in the mid-6th. And honestly, looking at the receivers available, I've got Christian Kirk here. I like Christian Kirk a lot. Xavier Worthy I like. I would probably lean either A, going Ramondre Stevenson, B, and this is kind of a pick your favorite thing. This is the running back dead zone, but we really like Ramondre. I'm going to go ahead and take Ramondre Stevenson here, honestly.
I don't think that's a bad pick. And I will take a shot on a rookie. Generally, we don't take shots on rookies any more than like one guy in the top 10 rounds.
Yep.
I'll just go with Rome Odunze here. I don't think he's terrible. And, you know, I do think it's interesting what you're seeing as kind of a common denominator with the 105 to the 108 is if you're not taking a running back in the first round, you're kind of stuck with a situation where you're getting kind of the leftovers at that top tier running backs if you're lucky enough for them to fall to you. And if they're not, then you either have to kind of reach on one of those next tier of running backs or you're stuck taking wide receivers for a while. And you're probably going to have kind of a mid-producing running back room. And that's okay if you end up having a good enough room at the wide receiver position and quarterback and tight ends. But just be aware of the risk there. I will go with Kyler Murray here, take another one of the few remaining rushing QBs that I think has the upside to be quarterback 1 overall this year.
Yeah, that would have been my pick as well there. Kyler in the 7th is one of our favorites. And for the record, Rashee Rice was on the board. He's buried in this ADP, so I didn't see him. He would have been our number 1 pick in the 6th for sure, not even close. Okay, looking at running back again, you know, these guys are all right. I like Jonathan Brooks here, all right. Looking at wide receiver, I've got a wide receiver 1 in Lab McConkey, Keon Coleman, both rookies if I want to go that route. I've also got Deontay Johnson, a high productive veteran as well. I don't need a tight end, so I'm really looking at, with Kyler going off the board, I'm really looking at wide receiver here probably. I've got to get my 4th wide receiver because I can flex 2 wide receivers in this league. And so Calvin Ridley's probably my guy here.
Ridley's a great pick there, and I think he's one of the few guys that you're absolutely confident without a shadow of a doubt he will be the first option in his offense. And you're not really saying that about any other wide receivers left in the draft.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So 4 running backs went from picks 8 to 12 when I ended on the way back.
Yep.
Now, and so we are still in that running back dead zone. However, Jonathan Brooks fell to me. I like Jonathan Brooks here. So it's a matter of, do I want to take a shot on a rookie running back or do I want to take a shot on a rookie wide receiver? And when you look at my build, I've got 2 running backs and 4 wide receivers. I'm probably just going to take the value and go Jonathan Brooks because in this league, and again, I'm only going to take Jonathan Brooks where this is true. I probably have an IR slot. So I'm going to put Jonathan Brooks in my IR and go pick somebody up right away after the draft. But Jonathan Brooks in the 8th round, again, for somebody who's going to be back in week 4 and has very, very high upside for a rookie. I mean, rookie running backs produce at a pretty high rate. Even when he's from a medical standpoint, he's on the Breece Hall last year train. So and then you just go ahead and take Keon Coleman in the 8th is just take that's like even though we took 2 rookies. Oh wait, you didn't take Keon Coleman.
No, I went with Deontay Johnson. Keon Coleman, you pick whoever you want there. I think this is clearly again I'm pulling a Mason Dodd here where you just keep taking the value at wide receiver if they're falling. If you end up reaching on running backs any more than a full round, like just go with the other positions and just hope for the best in the later rounds. And I hope for the best, and I ended up with Tyjae Spears at the 9.5, which I'm very comfortable with, even though he's, in my opinion, the second option there next to Tony Pollard. I could be wrong, and I think he's very explosive, and I think that's fine for, honestly, what has ended up being a 0 running back build.
I'll take the last rushing quarterback here and take Jaden Daniels. This is the same pick I had in the Flock League as well. Took Jaden Daniels in the 9th round. Really like that pick. And we'll see who makes it back. There was some good wide receiver talent. There's some of them just went. Now it's back to me. And again, I've got my quarterback, got my tight end. So I'm looking exclusively at running back and wide receiver here. When I'm looking at running back, I've got some guys that could be ones like Rico Dowdle, J.K. Dobbins, Chuba Hubbard. But I have 3 running backs. I'm kind of at an advantage here because I did take 2 technically dead zone running backs, but 2 of my favorite targets in the dead zone this year. So guys that I'm comfortable taking. So looking at the wide receiver position here, lots of guys I like. I think if I didn't have a rookie, Jalen Polk would be my first pick here. I like Adonai Mitchell here as well. I'm going to go ahead and take Khalil Shakir, the slot wide receiver in Buffalo.
Nice. Yeah, and there's a couple running backs here that I think are very interesting. You've got Jerome Ford, who is really slated to start the season as the alpha running back there, with Nick Chubb reportedly being on the PUP list for at least the first 4 games. I don't really foresee him coming back anytime soon, at least being a full go. So I'll go with Jerome Ford. And then on the wraparound, you obviously see Chase Brown going immediately after. They're consistently going back to back. I think both of them are pretty decent picks. I will go with kind of the same strategy here where Jonathan Brooks is probably not going to be a full go where he's getting a ton of the carries until like halfway through the season, even when he comes back healthy after like the first 3 or 4 weeks. I'll just go ahead and grab Chuba.
All right, so I probably do need to draft at least one more running back here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers, 3 running backs. Not a ton of running backs I like here. I like A.D. Mitchell, but he just got sniped. I just got sniped on that one. Josh Palmer is probably going to be the highest volume guy here. I don't have any other Chargers on my team, and so I'm just going to take Josh Palmer here in the 11th round. Jacoby Myers goes there. Trevor Lawrence goes, so getting a second QB there. Dobbins, Mike Williams, Rico.
Yeah, and this is where tight ends discussing, but it's also where you start. If you fade the tight end position, you start taking shots on guys around this range. So like for me, it's not even my turn yet, but I'm going to be taking a shot on one of Ben Sinnott or Cade Otton.
So like looking, can I handcuff any of these guys? Blake Corum is gone. Brooks, Chuba is gone.
Ty Chandler is one of the few running backs left that you probably want to take a shot on the 12th.
And he was my guy.
Yeah, so for me, I'll just go ahead and take the rookie Ben Sinnott. I like a situation.
So there you go. I mean, we classify my build as a hero wide receiver build because we went wide receiver in the first, running back in the second. Although it's not technically it's a modified version of hero wide receiver because I did end up grabbing wide receiver in the 3rd and 4th. So you'll see my roster. I'll kind of put this up for you here. Jaden Daniels, Kyron Williams, Ramondre Stevenson, Amon-Ra, Nico, Malik Neighbors, Dalton Kincaid, Ridley Brooks, Khalil Shakir, Josh Palmer. I'm very comfortable flexing one of Shakir, Palmer, or Ty Chandler until Brooks comes back. Brooks can go on my IR slot, and I can pick somebody else up off of waivers as well. And when we're looking at the guys that are left, actually, it doesn't let me see the rest of the board, but there's going to be somebody there as well that I like to pick up. And then you're technically it's a modified version of zero running back.
It is a modified, yeah.
Because you did get running back in the 4th, but you only grabbed one running back through 8 rounds.
Yeah, but I'm happy with the best wide receiver room in the draft with Chase, Lennon, Ayuk, Smith, Odunze, and Deontay Johnson. Once you get in the later rounds too, after that, you don't have to worry about reaching on a bunch of receivers that you know probably aren't going to do anything on a week-to-week basis, and you can just take shots on running backs that you need to take shots on, and same at the tight end position, and then landing one of the last remaining rushing upside quarterbacks.
So there you go. There's your strategy for picks 105 through 108. If you're drafting in this range, I think these are some of the best picks in the draft this year. So I really like this team. Had I drafted this in a real draft, I'd be very, very happy with this team right here. So if you do have one of these picks, good luck to you, and I hope you kill your draft. We're here to help you kill your draft, so make sure you check out the draft guide below. Make sure you drop a like, and make sure you subscribe if you're going to use the draft guide. If you enjoyed the video, this really, really helps us. Those 2 things, liking and subscribing, if you could do those, really, really appreciate it. We'll see you guys later.